Hi y'all, it's Andrea over at Sewspire.com, and today we are here to celebrate you and the milestone of reaching 50,000 subscribers. I wanted to thank each and every one of you for joining me. It's an absolute pleasure to share these designs with you, and I'm so happy that you're enjoying the content. So again, thank you, thank you, thank you. Today we're going to be making my ultimate craft tote. I'm going to show you step by step how to sew that in this video, and I will give you the measurements that I'm using for mine, which I customized to suit my needs. And then I'm also going to put a link down below where you can purchase a PDF that includes all the measurements and concise written instructions. If you are a Sewspire patron, you already have access to this PDF, so you do not need to purchase that. Just head on over to the Sewspire Patreon page, which I will also link to below in case you're interested in joining that community of makers as well. And then, as promised, I'm also going to be giving away a $50 gift card to Hawthorne Supply Company. And that is my absolute preferred source for quilting cotton, which is primarily what I use in my tutorials. So I've been shopping with Charlie and Lindsay, the owners of Hawthorne Supply Company, since 2006, way back when. They were just on Etsy. It might have even been 2008. Maybe Charlie or Lindsay will catch this video and they'll remind me of when they started, but it was a long time ago. And so I'm a big fan of their service and their quality of fabric. They have a gorgeous collection. So how you can enter to win this random drawing is, first, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and then drop a comment down below with the link to your favorite Sewspire tutorial here on YouTube. And then join me next Tuesday at 2 p.m. and I will announce the winner of the $50 gift card to Hawthorne Supply Company in the live chat box. And then just a little preview for you, next Tuesday we are going to be making the zip top cosmetic bag. So I hope that you will join me then. Today I want to get started sewing. I really am excited about this project. I'm using some gorgeous fabric for this. This print here is an Anna Maria Horner print, and my friend Sally sent that to me for Christmas. So thank you, Sally. It's absolutely gorgeous. I love flowers. I love the colors, and I'm so grateful to get to make this bag using that fabric. And then I have selected a few coordinating prints there. All right, so we're gonna begin with the handles. Many of you know how I craft my handles. These are made with a 6-inch wide piece of fabric, which you are going to cut to suit your desired length. Mine happens to be 20.5 inches long. I like to put nice little short handles on this style of bag because generally the bag is pretty heavy. And so cut your straps 6 inches wide by your desired length, and then you're going to press that fabric in half long ways, and then open that up and bring those outer edges inward to meet on that center press line. Press again, and then I like to insert a 3-inch wide piece of quilt batting in the center there. And I give everything a good press again once I get the batting in there. And then I fold that over and press again to form the strap. And then I'm going to repeat that process because I'll need 2 straps. And I want to stitch down that open edge first and then the opposite edge. And then typically I come back in with 2 more rows of stitching just to give a really nice finished look on that. And for this project, I'm going to use a 90-14 needle, just some cotton thread, and then I have the stitch length set at 3.5, which is nice for this project. If you have a very narrow stitch length, you know it takes a lot longer to sew, but 3.5 is good for this. Okay, so that first strap is done. I love this look. I also really enjoy creating the fabric straps because they're so comfy. So I'm just going to quickly flip up that second strap that I need. Two absolutely gorgeous straps. So pretty. And you can see that little bit wider stitch length looks great for the top stitching there. So I'm going to set those aside because I won't need those for a few minutes. And now I want to begin working on the pockets. I really want to encourage you to customize your pockets. I'm going to show you how to create a slip pocket for this style of bag as well as an elasticized pocket. And then you can use any variation of the slip or the elasticized pocket to create pockets that hold your contents. So please remain flexible with the pockets and really do take advantage of this opportunity you have to customize them. So for my exterior side pockets as well as my interior side pockets, I'm going with a classic slip pocket, which is cut the same width as those exterior panels, 8 inches, and then I cut that 18 inches in length. And what I do is fold that in half to create a 9 by 8 inch panel that is fully lined there. And then I take that top edge and I fold it over a 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch to create a nice lip on that. And then I top stitch along that lip so that I have 4 layers of fabric at the top edge of the pocket. So in total, I have 2 interior side slip pockets and 2 exterior side slip pockets with those lips. And so I'm just going to top stitch right across there to secure all 4 layers. And I just tuck that label right up under the lip at center and then stitch across there to hold that in place. And then that's a really great place to put your label if you happen to have one. And so now I'm just going to top stitch across the remaining 2 side pockets. And now that I see these, I think I'm going to add that second row of stitching. I'll show you what that looks like. So there's one with 2 rows and one with just a single row. And it's completely optional. It doesn't really add any structure to it. It's just for looks. Okay, so now I have all 4 of my slip pockets for the side, interior and exterior prepped. So I'm going to set those aside for a few moments. And now I want to work on the main front and rear pockets for the interior and the exterior. And so for my interior, I'm going to go with the same style of slip pocket. And so these will measure 15 inches wide by 18 inches tall. And then you'll fold them in half and press over that lip there so that you end up with a pocket that with the lip pressed over is about 8.5 inches tall by 15 inches wide. And this also would be a great place to tuck your label if you wanted. So I'm just going to top stitch down those little edges. Alrighty, and so now I have my interior slip pockets all prepped there. And just to review, the slip pockets will always be the same width as the panel that you're placing them on by 18 inches high, so that you can fold those and create that little lip. And the next type of pocket that I'm going to show you how to create is an elasticized pocket, which we will put pleats in the bottom and elastic in the top. And this creates an expandable pocket that's great for holding rolls of fabric, like fat quarters rolled up, yarn. What else might be nice? If you were going to use it as a diaper bag, diapers would fit in there. Anything that you would want the pocket to be able to expand to hold the contents. And so these pockets need to be cut wider than the body panel that you're going to place them on. And so mine are 21 inches wide by 18 inches tall. And then I press those in half. And now I want to come across here about a ½ inch down and stitch a straight line. And that's going to create a little channel between the fold there and the stitch line, which I'm going to be able to thread my elastic through. And so I just want to put that up there. And on my machine, that top fold is at 5/8 of an inch, if that helps you with your placement. And that's how that channel looks like there. And I just want to repeat that for the second exterior pocket. And now it's time to bring over your body panels. For the base of this project, you're going to have 2 panels that are 8 by 15. This is my interior. And then for the sides, you're going to have 4 panels, which are 8 inches wide by 12 inches tall. And those will be the sides of the interior and the exterior. And then you're going to have 4 body panels, which are 12 inches tall by 15 inches wide. And those are going to be the front and rear, interior and exterior panels. And for all of these, you're going to want to cut a like-sized piece of quilt batting or your interfacing of choice. And so I'm just going to put 1 layer of quilt batting under each of these panels. And it's completely up to you if you'd actually like to quilt them. I have done that before and it is stunning. For this bag, I'm not going to quilt them. But if you would like to create a really beautiful bag, please do quilt and then share pictures with us on the Facebook group page so we can see your beautiful work. I like working with the quilt batting for these kinds of projects because it washes up so beautifully. And then you always have the option, if you need a little bit more stability, to add some Pellon 70, especially in the base, which I think I may end up incorporating a little hard bottom base on this bag with some of the Pellon 70 in between. And to create the little hard bottom removable base, just cut 2 more panels that are 8 by 15, back 1 with quilt batting, put those right sides facing, stitch down the 2 long edges and 1 short side, turn it around, then insert a slightly smaller piece of Pellon 70. You could even put 2 pieces of Pellon 70 in there, and then you just fold over that top edge, press, and stitch it closed, so very much like a pillowcase. And then you insert that in the inside of your bag, and that creates a really nice stable base for you that, if needed, you can remove, replace, wash, whatever you need to do with that. Okay, so what I find is inevitably my base panels always have that kind of permanent crease in it just because of the way that I cut my fabric. And so I like to just go ahead and stitch down the center of the base. This is useful whether you have the crease or not because it attaches that larger piece of quilt batting to the fabric. And you can't see it on that interior fabric because it has a light base, but you'll definitely be able to see the stitching on the exterior, which is a darker print. And so for that, I'm going to go ahead and add 2 accent rows on each side so it looks very intentional. And that's what the exterior base looks like there. And so now I have my base panels prepped, so I'll set those aside. And I want to begin with the exterior, which is the elasticized pockets. And so I have my body panel, which is 12 inches high by 15 inches wide. And it has the quilt batting on the back. And then I'm bringing back over my longer pockets, which are 21 inches and 9 inches tall. And they have that little gusset stitched in there. And so I want to fold that pocket in half and find center on this panel here. And I'm just going to crease that pocket so I can see the center point. And then I'm going to go ahead and put a pin right in that, through that body panel and through that pocket. And I'm going to bring that outer edge so that it lines up nice with the outer edge of the body panel. And that's going to create this little hump right here in the center. And so I want to find center between that center pin and the outer edge and just fashion a nice little pleat there. And this is working out so that my pleat is right in the center of that large bouquet, which is so pretty. And then you do the same thing for the opposite edge there. And that's what your panel looks like with your pocket on there and the pleats in place. And then just go ahead and stitch across the base of that to secure those pleats. You will repeat that process for your second exterior panel. And now I have both of the exterior pleats in place on the pockets. And so you want to work with a piece of 1/4 inch elastic that is the same width as the body panel, not the pocket. So in my case, that's 15 inches. And so I just lay that elastic right on the front of that body panel and then cut off 2 pieces And then I just use a good old-fashioned large safety pin there, and I hook that elastic and then thread it right through that channel. You just want to make sure that you don't lose your tail there of the elastic. So as you get closer to the end there, keep an eye on that end. And then what I like to do is just get it as close as I can to the end. I leave maybe a 1/4 inch hanging out of that pocket, and then I go ahead and just put a pin through all of those layers so that that tail doesn't get away from me. And then I do the same thing on the opposite side there. And then I can remove that safety pin and adjust the gathers on the elastic. And so you want to try and have an equal amount of fabric on each side. And make sure that your pockets are still straight. And then once you're happy that you have an equal amount of fabric and you like how the little gathers and pleats look, then go ahead and stitch right down that center channel, and this will secure that elastic and stabilize that pocket. And then you can stitch through the elastic and the fabric and the body panel just right at the edge of that elastic where the pin was holding everything in place. And I do back stitch over that a couple times just because it's definitely a stress point. And then everything should be secure now, so you can go ahead and remove the pins that were holding your pleats and your pocket in place. And you will repeat that process for the second pocket panel so that you have 2 exterior body panels with elasticized pockets. Now you have the option of coming in with additional rows of stitching on each side of that center line, and that creates the perfect space for you to put like crochet hooks, knitting needles, or even pens. And so I did do that on that second panel. On this panel here, I think I'm just going to go ahead and leave the 2 wide pockets. And so now I have my 2 exterior body panels all prepped. And now I want to work on my interior body panels, which will have those slip pockets on them. And so you have a lot of freedom as to how you want to divide these interior pockets as well. I just lay that pocket panel right on top of that body panel with the lip there at the top of the pocket. And then I like to have at least one pocket that's divided in thirds. So I come in about 5 inches on each edge there and just put a pin in the top there so I know where to stitch. You can also press in your stitch lines if you want those nice and tidy. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch down those 2 lines to divide that pocket in thirds. now I have 3 really nice deep pockets on one side, and on the opposite side, I think I'm just going to go ahead and do a center stitch line to divide that pocket right in half. And so I'll go ahead and fold the pocket in half and press in that stitch line with my fingers, and then I'll pin that pocket in place and stitch right down the center there to divide that. So now I have a 2-way divided pocket and a 3-way divided pocket for the interior. And now it's time to start prepping those side panels for the interior and exterior. So my exterior pockets are this darker fabric here. And I'm going to go ahead and put that watercolor fabric on the outside, and these pockets just get aligned at the base and the sides. You could divide them if you wanted. That would make them perfect for holding like rotary cutters, possibly rulers, eyeglasses, things of that nature. I am not going to divide mine because I like to put my water bottle in those side pockets. And so that's what that looks like. There's nothing else that you need to do other than pin those side slip pockets in place. And of course the lip with the top stitching is the top of the pocket, and you want that facing out. And you'll be prepping 4 of those side panels. There's 2 for the interior and 2 for the exterior. And so in total we have 4 side pocket panels, 4 body panels, and 2 bases. And so for this project we're going to use the T method of construction. So you'll take one of those body panels and you will position 2 of your side panels, right sides facing, on that body panel, and then using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, attach the sides to one of those body panels. In my case, I am working with the interior. The 5/8 of an inch seam allowance is awesome for bag making because you're almost certain to capture the pocket and the body panels in that wide seam allowance. Now you should have like a tri-folding panel there, and go ahead and just fold those pockets back in. Going to want to trim away that excess seam allowance. So for me that works out to be about 3.5 inches that I just carve out from the top part of that, and that is because we are going to use a drop-in lining method, and so you just want to remove that bulk at the top. Going to set this tri-folding panel aside for a moment and then bring over the remaining interior body panel and your interior base and line that base up with the base of that interior body panel, which has your pocket already attached, and you're just going to stitch along the base of that, which is the 15-inch spans there, using the same 5/8 of an inch. Right, and now you have a double panel there with the base attached. And so I recently changed the order of operations for the T method, and it works really nice. So this will be slightly different than what you're accustomed to. What you're going to do is lay that tri-folding panel that you created with the side panels and the body panel on your table, and then you're going to position that double panel so that it is centered on top of that tri-folding panel, and you're aligning up the base of the tri-fold with the base of the double panel, and you're just going to stitch seam to seam, not end to end. So I'm stopping right where my fingers are, and you can't see where to start, but you can definitely feel. So you're just starting right where that bump is, and I just back that fabric in, so I start right at that seam. And then when you open that up, it does look like a giant T, hence the name T method. Okay, now historically, we would then align these sides. I am now doing this different, and I am attaching the base first. So I want to join the base of the side to the side of the base. And so I just fold that over like that, and then center that on there so that those bases are aligned nice and straight. And again, just stitch seam to seam. It's very important that you don't go end to end, just bump to bump. And then I want to repeat the same for the opposite side there. So I'm just aligning the base of the side with the side of the base, keeping that fabric nice and straight, and I'm just stitching seam to seam. Something that kind of reminds me of like a little photo box prop, right? And so now we just have to raise up the other side there. This is going to require you to make sure that none of your pockets collapsed or anything. So if you don't have those pinned, make sure that the pockets are staying nice and straight. And so now you're just aligning the side with the side. And once you get one side pinned, it becomes evident that this is taking the shape of a boxy bag. And by changing that one order of operations, it makes the base of this, which before was somewhat problematic, the corners were hit or miss. This makes that base look so professional, and the corners are really tidy. Okay, so once you get those sides pinned in place, then you can look in there and verify that the pockets didn't slip down. And that's what it looks like. You could tell it's a really nice sized bag. And so now using the same 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, you're just going to stitch from the top to the seam there. Really try to not overshoot that seam. So I have one side attached, and now I want to work on the other side. If you're more comfortable, you can start at the seam and sew to the top. It doesn't make a difference. Just make sure that you don't overshoot the seam. inches from that seam allowance so that you're minimizing the bulk when you fold that top edge over. And now the interior is complete. If you have any pins in there, go ahead and remove those. Okay, so now you want to fold that top edge over about 1 inch. And you can press that if you like. And then I'm going to go ahead and install a center snap closure here, because that is what I would like to use to close my bag. So it's easier to do that now before we fit this into the exterior. And I'm going to be using these nice heavy duty fat drip snaps, which they say are 5/8 inch long, 15 millimeters. Come in an awesome Ziploc bag. I found these at Joann's and I'm quite happy with the pricing on these and the quantity of them. So for these snaps, you have 4 pieces. You have the prongs, one of which has a decorative head, the female piece and the male piece. And I just use a little hammer to install my snaps, just like this. And so you just want to mark center on your piece, and center is from that side seam. For me, that's going to be 7 inches, and I do not come through both of the layers. I go slightly under that fold, and I'm coming down 2.5 inches, and so I'm just poking that decorative head through first. And this should also be at the center of your pocket there, so that should help you know that you're in the right place. Then I take the female portion and fit it right on top of there, and I just feel with my finger, put some pressure on there, and if it's sitting level, then I am good to give it a couple whacks with a hammer. And then I put the male portion in there, line everything back up, and working from the opposite side with the remaining prong set, I gauge where I need to put that, and I press those prongs through the batting and through the fabric, and then I line that up in that snap channel there, and again I just give it a little wiggle, and if it's sitting nice and steady, then a few whacks with a hammer. With any good luck, that's secure. These heavy duty snaps really are secure, and so after I verify that it is attached properly, then I give it a few more whacks. And that's what that looks like on the inside there. And so now the interior is complete, and so I'm just going to set that aside for a few moments. Bring over my exterior body panels, which have the elasticized pockets on them. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to place those side slip pockets, right sides facing, on one of those body panels. And I'm positioning that on the right and the left hand side, so one pocket on each side. And then the exterior base panel gets positioned at the bottom of that remaining panel. I'm just going to pin that in place, and then I'm going to stitch down the right and the left hand sides to create that tri-folding panel, and across the base to create that double panel. Okay, and that's what the double panel looks like. And then tri-folding panel with my little label on there. And so now I just want to trim away that excess at the top of that tri-folding panel on each side. And then I'm going to position that tri-folding panel on the cutting table there, and the double panel goes right on top of that, and I'm centering the base of that double panel with the base of that tri-fold panel, and I'm stitching seam to seam at 5/8 of an inch. And then when I hold that up, I get that big T shape. And so now the next step is to attach the base of the side to the side of the base. So I just fold that over and line that up, and I'm just stitching seam to seam. I repeat that process for the opposite side. And then I get that kind of photo box look going on. And now I just have to raise up this front panel there and align those sides. And repeat that on the opposite side, and then you'll really be able to see that exterior taking shape. And that looks pretty good. And now I'm going to go ahead and make those last 2 stitches. And then once you're confident that you have captured all of the edges in that seam allowance, go ahead and trim away that excess from 3.5 inches of that top there. And then at this point, you can turn the exterior right side out. And you'll want to poke out your corners. That's what that looks like. There. Oh, it's so pretty. Love, love, love. Okay, so now you're going to take that top edge and you're going to fold it over about 1/2 inch there. And I like to start with the sides because that kind of trains the rest of the fabric there. And then you can just pull like that and it naturally folds over, and it just makes it much easier than if you just get a clip in the center there. You're pretty good. Oh, how fun. The colors are just making me so happy. Okay, now we need to fit the interior inside of the exterior. So I have that right here. And if you have a preference as to, you know, which of your interior pockets fall on which side of the exterior, go ahead and customize that now. Sometimes it does matter because, like, if you had a lot of hardware, like you did a zipper pocket or something, or key fob, you may have a clear preference as to where you would like those placed. I don't for this. The bag is pretty even on both sides. And since it has just basically an open top closure, I'm going to be able to see everything anyways. Okay, so once you have that interior and exterior liner aligned nice and neat, then go ahead and put your hands in there and smooth out that base. And what will happen is that quilt batting is going to grip the fabric, and it's going to grip the opposite quilt batting. And so you just kind of press that with your hands, and over time there, it starts to take on more structure, and you just, I liken it to like making a bed, right? How you shake out the bedspread You're just trying to get all those little wrinkles out and add more clips if you need, and just keep fiddling with this until you are satisfied with how that's sitting in there. It's kind of like putting in a pillowcase too, right? Okay, and then my snap. I like to snap the snap and then just make sure that those top edges are the same height. If they're not, go ahead and adjust. And then once you are happy that everything's level and you like the way it looks and your side seams are nice and tidy and the lines straight, then the last thing we have to do is position the handles in between the interior and exterior layers and then stitch around the perimeter. For this bag, I do like to come back in with a second row of stitching on the handles just to make sure those are nice and secure. And so I have my pretty little handles here. So what I do is flatten the bag and then measure in about 3 inches from that side seam. And I do like to pin my straps in place. And I just tuck that strap in between the interior and the exterior layers, that raw edge, about 1 inch. And I'm measuring in about 3 inches. So the right hand edge of that strap is 3 inches from that side seam. And then in between the strap there is 5 inches distance here in the center of that strap. And then I can turn that over. The opposite side is a little bit more easy to position because as long as your side seams are aligned, you can just use that strap that's in place to position. And what you want to make sure of is that your handles are the same height. So measure that and adjust. Oh, it's so pretty. I love it. And my handles look good and the top looks good. Stunning. Okay, so now I need to unsnap the snap and then stitch all the way around the perimeter and then come back in and add a second row of stitching at the handles just to reinforce. I really like to begin at one of the sides and I just line the edge of my machine foot up with the top edge of the bag. Go nice and slow, take your time. This truly is the finishing touch on the bag there, so you want it to be nice and straight. It's done. I love it. Okay, so on the exterior we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pockets. And then on the interior, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pockets. So 15 pockets in total. You can definitely see how you could completely add more pockets, customize this to suit your needs perfectly. And then I gave you instructions on how you can create that hard bottom base if you need a little bit more stability at the bottom. And now I just want to show you how I style this tote when I'm carrying it. So I would snap that center snap and then I would kind of karate chop those sides in just a bit there, like that. And then I would use the bag like this. And I just think that is crazy cute. I'm so happy with it. I want to thank you all for joining me today. I want to thank you for being a Sewspire subscriber. I'm really happy to have the whole month of January to celebrate you and the channel We are 5 years in the making now, and I am so excited to show up every week for you all and bring you another inspired project. I hope you like this design. Again, I just want to remind you, I'm going to give away a $50 gift card to Hawthorne Supply Company. All you need to do is subscribe to the channel, like this video, and then comment below with the link to your favorite Sewspire sewing tutorial. Join me next Tuesday at 2 p.m. and I will announce the winner of the $50 gift card, as well as teach you how to sew a zip top cosmetic bag. So until then, as always, please know the creative genius in me will be celebrating the creative genius in you. Have a beautiful week, everyone. Good luck.